This time, I know I've got it.
Are you sure, Rue?
I know what I'm doing.
No more ducks.
No ducks. I cannot promise there won't be a dog or something. But it should be good. Let's try this again. The magic words. Pa-pa-da-pa! Yes! I got him! Hello, hello!
Oh god, this happened again. Oh no. I'm sorry.
Calm down, my friend. First things first, welcome to Delegation of Dreamers, and second, what do you mean again? We haven't had you here before.
You haven't.
No.
Okay, that's good. Fantastic. So was I here a moment ago? A different me? No other person was me.
No. No, you're now in the realm of forgotten memories and dreams. I just pulled you here to get some questions to you and to get to know you a bit.
But if you tell us what your name is, we can check our records to see if you've been here before.
Oh, I'm Gedalya of House Shadowsbane. Sorry, I'm not used to saying my last name. Being brought here is a bit of a relief. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. That's fine. But oh my gosh, I've never seen dragons before. And you just pulled me here?
Yes. It is akin to planeswalking, but it's a little less so because we're only pulling your consciousness. Usually it's only the consciousness, sometimes it's more, sometimes it's the full body, it's hard to tell. Not an exact science, or magic. I like that word though, science.
This is a strange word. But have you done this to perchance my friends before? Azar and Schlink?
I don't recognize those names to either of you.
They're not here in my notes, at least.
No, but we could bring them in at some point.
Oh, well, it's been kind of this strange thing that's been happening with them lately. It's like their consciousness is leaving and another version of their consciousness is taking over their bodies. And that, I do apologize for freaking out because for a moment I thought that was what was happening to me. I thought it was doing this whole switcheroo and that perhaps you were expecting to be talking to a different version of me. But if that's not what's happening here, I'm actually deeply relieved. But at the same time, I kind of wish I had answers. But so why have you brought me here?
Well, we're going to ask you a few questions to get to know you and to get to know your story.
Oh, okay.
I would like to start off with asking you about that nifty armor that you have and that sickle that seems they are both magical in nature.
Oh, yeah. So the sickle was kind of in this strange underground catacombs. My party and we were trying to hunt down this necromantic cult, and we came across this room that had a tub that was covered in ice. We broke into the ice and we found this sitting inside of it in this dark, strange sickle, and it let off this cold energy. And being that I'm a grave cleric, everyone seemed to think that it just kind of fit my aesthetic. And so I've been carrying it with me ever since. It's proven very useful to me. As for this armor was a gift from. I thought it was a gift from my father, but it turns out that it was a gift from the butler instead. It bears the wings of my house, kind of our family crest, if you will. It keeps me safe, keep any potential hits from being super, super bad. And then there's this crystal in the middle that is also kind of a family heirloom. It allows me to use more spells in a day than I would normally be able to use. Yeah, these are pretty important items in my armor kit.
I see. That's very cool. I'll have to remember about that family heirloom business if I ever see my kids. I've not actually met them yet because of my wife. But I do have another question for you. You said you're a grave cleric, and I can feel the presence of Kelemvor on you.
That's correct.
So that's the one you follow.
Yes, I've been serving the Church of Kelemvor for Oh, almost. I guess it's like a decade and a half now. It's been. I was a child, a teenager when I left my family home and went and joined the church. I became an acolyte and eventually became a priest. Just kind of been serving ever since.
Hmm, quite the dedication. And that is probably why you have such a strong presence of Kalimvor on you. They must be quite happy with your work.
I I certainly hope so. Sometimes I get little visions or these inclinations that Kellenvor is right there and that he is proud, but I just I question. No, I don't question Kellenvor. Of course, it's more about myself. I just kind of the reality of life. I was born a tiefling, and that's kind of been a bit to my father's shame. So I just want to make sure I'm doing a good job.
Speaking of your family, where are you from?
So originally, I was from a city called Solace. That's where my family home is. My brother is still there. Unfortunately, my mom passed when I was young, and I'm honestly not sure where my dad has gone off to. But that's kind of what I knew as home before I left.
And who's your brother?
My brother is Callum Shadowsbane.
And why did you leave home? You have the armor. Why did you obtain it? For what reason?
So I left home because after my mother died, I almost never saw my father. He kind of started disappearing, going off on adventures, doing different stuff. He was very distant and he kind of kept me hidden away. And because of the horns, and this is kind of the family curse, and it skipped a couple generations, but here I am. My fondest memories, the person that cared for me the most was my mother, but after she died, I just kind of felt lost. I would often go to the cemetery to visit her grave, and it was there that I started seeing ghosts and started hearing them talk. And so I would sit and spend time with these spirits, just chat, kind of talk to them about their lives. And then eventually one of the priests of Kellumbor came through and was tending to the cemetery and found me and saw that I had some sort of inclination speaking with the dead and understanding the dead and insisted on me coming to train. My father didn't want me to go, so I ran away. I haven't seen him since. During the last winter festival, I received this gift, the armor. Just a few days later, the butler, he showed up and was delighted to see that I received the gift and told me that he had been the one to send it, and then told me that he didn't know where my father was and he asked me to handle some matters of the estate. So seems kind of like it was a bribe to get me to handle family matters, but I'm not entirely sure. But it is my family's crest. So I've gotten to the place where I want to wear this with pride, regardless of whether my father accepts me as part of the family or not.
What was it that was shameful about your horns? Aren't they big enough?
Most of my family don't show any signs of being tieflings, and my understanding is that many generations ago, our family made a pact with Zariel, the archdevil of the ninth layer of hell, and it's just kind of been seen as this family shame, this thing that our family did that should, I don't know, never have happened. And occasionally we have members of our family who show the signs of devil blood, but we're a family of paladins. We're a family of warriors against darkness. And my father, being a well known paladin, kind of looked on me with shame as, having a child with devil's blood, despite being the slayer of cults and devils himself.
I've met plenty of those with devil's blood who fight against devils, and, well, quite frankly, are more suited for it because of it. I did have a question for you. What would you say has been the biggest hurdle you've overcome since becoming a cleric of Kalimvor?
Well, honestly, it's kind of been partially me being a tiefling. So there are two parts of our order. There are those who serve as the morticians and who work with those who have passed and doing rites of passage for the dead, which I used to be. And we discovered that it made people a little uncomfortable to have someone with devil horns taking care of their dead. So I became a part of the Justicars and going out into the world and hunting undead and seeking to protect people from an early death. And I think it's just the hardest part of that has been trying to continue to work through, that experience of growing up with horns and being seen as like something other. And finally, I have an adventure party now. Like I feel like I'm finally gaining like a family, and and they keep doing stuff to put themselves at risk. He's like just trying to do my job and not lose them. It feels like there's a bunch of things I'm juggling. I think the hardest one has been accepting myself when so many others haven't, and I think my party is helping me do that.
What's a few life-saving events between family?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Family is good to have, and whether they're by blood or by circumstance, it is always good to be around them. It is good that you found family, and I will say I still cannot abide by such prejudices as most people seem to have shown you. But I do have one more question that's related to your connection to Kalimvor. If you had a chance to meet your god, would you take it now, or would you rather wait till you passed on?
Oh, that is something I've been wrestling with recently because to some degree it feels like I would be able to get some answers, but also being that he is the great judge at the end of life and the lord of death, I don't know that I am ready to meet him, but I think I want to meet him now, in part because I think that he can provide answers, but also I would like clarity about you know, how I'm doing as one of his clergy. I guess it's better to find out the answer of how well you're doing before you die, so you can at least correct something if you need to. I think that's my answer.
What would you ask him?
Uh, well, I would ask him if I should trust the current head of my church, who is seeming to be questionable. I guess I would also ask if I'm doing anything wrong or if there's anything I can do better. Like, how can I, serve efficiently? I think that's the plight of a lot of religious people, at least the ones I've met. It's like not a lot of certainty if we're doing it right.
And why would you say that the head of the church is questionable?
So we actually have two heads. There's the Grand Justicar and then the Grand Mortician, kind of reflecting the two halves of the healing of the sick, but also the warden against death and those who seek justice. But the Grand Mortician, Mordecai, I recently stumbled upon him in the city of Grundale, and he's changed. He was an old man, and now he's not. And he's told me that to be assured that he hasn't done any necromantic magics or anything, so he's not breaking the laws of nature. He's not done anything against Kelimvor, who tells us to embrace natural death with honor. He's saying that Kelimvor changed him. He's saying that Kelimvor is the one that made him young again so that he could continue to be a leader in the church, and just something's off. But that's the person I'm supposed to follow. That's the leader. I'm supposed to trust him. And so I'm feeling conflicted.
Hmm. I should keep my opinions to myself, but I'm not going to. That's not my way. I do not trust this person.
Yeah, I'm just but what do I do?
I would say work in the background to get information that you might not supposed to be given, and work towards finding out the truth. But that might be difficult, so take my opinion with a grain of salt. I know a little bit about various gods from various places, and the little bit I know puts me on edge with what you've said.
Well, thankfully, I have a. Well, he was an artificer, but his soul got switched out, and so like I guess now he's a bit roguish in the way that he does stuff now. But he's been kind of sneaking around trying to get information. Thankfully, my party is helping me in this moment of confusion because they definitely they don't follow Kellenfor, but they are grateful that I do.
So you told us about Azar and Schlick. Were they your party members?
Yeah, both of them are. Though Azar, I usually refer to her as Captain. She's kind of in charge. She's another tiefling, kind of like me, but she only has one horn, and it's crystalline. It's like this strange crystal pink horn. It's really cool. But she does a lot of fire spells, likes to blow stuff up. And Slink is an inventor. He has this mechanical dog that he takes with him called Django. They're fantastic, but they're only a small part of my party. It's actually quite a large group. There's currently 8 of us traveling together, which makes the cart a little crowded.
I can
I
imagine.
bet.
How did you all meet?
Well, I met most of them in this city of Shroud Hollow. They were going into the city to find the cult that had been afflicting the area. And when I found out about it, I felt like it was in part my duty to go and be a part of it. But the local town was trying to hire adventurers to go and handle the situation. And since they were going to do the same thing, I thought I would just tag along to try and help with the affliction that was happening and ward off the undead. And then I just ended up staying with them afterwards. So it was at that point that I met Azar, the tiefling. I also met Slink and Starin, who is a half orc, and then Jaff, who was a dwarf. He's interesting. He's always trying to grapple people. He likes to grab them and toss them onto the ground. Very interesting fighting style. But since then, we've picked up more people. Oh, we also have a half elf warlock. We also now have a wood elf ranger, and she has a pet panther. And we recently picked up this guy who's, well, he says he's a chef. He does a lot of stuff like a bard, but everything he does is based around food, and he's apparently on this mission to create the greatest meal in the world. And quite frankly, I don't understand him.
Making the greatest meal in the world would be very difficult.
I don't think it's a milkshake, Rue.
Well, yes, it's most likely not. But, if they happen to do that, maybe we can pull them in and they can give us some tips.
So, what were you doing just before we pulled you in here?
Oh, well, so we are now in the city of Grundale, which is kind of a strange city that's actually dedicated to Kellenvor. There's an old temple there that is currently in ruins. I actually just got done speaking to the Grand Mortician, Mordecai, who is trying to commission me and my group to go out into the woods tomorrow to try and find the necromancer that's in the woods. The small town is kind of being afflicted by just waves of undead. In fact, my party and I were out in a cleansing ritual at the hot springs, and we were suddenly attacked by a swarm of undead. And these, I guess they were giants, undead giants attacked us. Thankfully, I was able to use my abilities of turning the undead to eliminate a fair amount of them, but there's a lot that is attacking the city, and he's wanting us to go visit with some sort of tradesmen to see if we can figure out the location of this necromancer that's causing these undead to appear. And I'm trying to sneak over to the temple so I can investigate it because I feel like something weird is happening. Something just feels wrong. And there's this strange river that flows into the forest that people are going into and are allegedly meeting Kellamvor face to face, which is part of the reason why I've been questioning about whether or not I want to meet him now. Like, maybe I should just take a boat and go down the river. I don't know what's waiting for me there. I want to believe it's Kellamvor. Before I got pulled here, I'm just trying to figure out if I was going to try going down this river and seeing what's there, or if I was going to go back to my party and tell them that we're going to go see if we can hunt down a necromancer.
And tell me, what are your plans after you've defeated this necromancer?
Well, my party and I have been invited to some sort of gala in the capital. We've been kind of working our way towards the capital. I've been asked to represent my family there on their behalf since my father is off adventuring somewhere. We're not entirely sure where he's at, but someone from the House Shadowsbane needs to be there to represent, and my brother's not quite old enough yet to represent the family. He's got a couple more years before he's old enough to be recognized in that regard. I'm hoping to put an end to this undead thing and then, I don't know, figure out this thing with my leader, with Mordecai, and kind of move on from there and continue on our journey.
What about the Grand Justicar? Have you spoken to them about Mordecai?
Haven't been able to yet. I've used up all my energy for the day. I do have the ability to send a message to him, but the thing is just a couple of days ago, I tried to send one to Mordecai, and he never got it. So I'm not sure what's going on with my spells, but as soon as I have enough energy, I'm planning to try and send this message and hope it gets to him. It seems like there may be something preventing that magic from getting out or coming into the city. Magic is strange. But I do believe this is Mordecai. I don't know why he wouldn't have gotten my message. I don't know, unless somehow we've ended up on a different plane of existence. But as far as I can tell, it is him. So,
You don't think that he's been swapped out then?
I mean, he seemed to remember me as I am, my own history, and not like some alternate version of me. So, I'm inclined to think it is him, but I could be wrong. Or maybe he's lying to me. Maybe he did get my message and just didn't respond to it. Either way, I'll have to sleep through the night and regain my strength before I can send a message to the Justicar, which I think that's my best course of action, I think, at this point.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
I have one last question. Have you had any special relations with any of your party members, or maybe anybody you've met along the way?
No, I haven't. I mean, I deeply respect Azar. I think she's incredible, but I don't think it's anything. I don't think it's anything like that. But with the other party members, no. There's just it's all plutonic. Even between them, they all keep it, pretty. I don't feel like professional is the right word because they're definitely not. But no relationships or anything like that.
Okay. Well, that was my last question.
I have one. How much gold have you made during your travels?
Personally, or as like part of the party.
Personally.
Yeah.
Personally, I I kind of have lost track because I keep giving gold away. The party actually keeps telling me that I shouldn't be just giving gold away like I am. People need money, and I mean, I sleep in the cemetery, so I don't need that much because, I'm not going to get a hotel room or a tavern room. So I ended up giving a lot away. Well, I did just get 100 from the butler, but I've already given away about 30 of it. But then we had a group pot that we're kind of collectively putting into for the party. So, like, there's at least a couple hundred in there. And we recently acquired a piece of land with an old manor that's being fixed up into a bed and breakfast. So we should be getting some passive income from that. Honestly, I'm really not sure how much I've made. I just haven't kept track of it. I keep giving it away.
I actually think that's a very good philosophy. Like, you should probably give away money to those who need it, like dragons.
Oh, well, unfortunately, this is just my consciousness. I don't really have any on me.
Oh no, sorry, I wasn't asking for you to give me your money, but I'm just saying that if you ever meet a dragon, then it's probably a good idea to part with some valuables.
Ephraim,
Well, as long as they don't try to kill me, I would be happy to pass off some gold to some dragons. But I haven't met any yet, so maybe one day.
Ephraim, no pawning money off of our guests.
You gotta admit that it's a good idea to start off a relationship by giving some gold.
One last question. With your family's background, with everything that you've gone through, I just have to ask. Are you happy?
Yeah, I think I am now. I'm growing a lot, and I have this strange ragtag group of adventurers that I'm with. I think I am. I think I finally have found happiness.
Sure, he's giving away his gold. He's clearly miserable and delusional.
Gotta ask every now and then, Ephraim. But, I believe that is all the time that we have. Rue, if you want to do the honors.
First, let me just say, have a good awakening. And now, I will send you off. Pa-pa-ra-pa!